This is Poka'alai Nui, aloha again, and today is the 30th day of September. Welcome to the program, or welcome back to the program. We had been talking about a lot of things, about new ideas coming forth, perhaps a partnership with Mother Earth, and giving Mother Earth an opportunity to have certain standards of rights, as Bolivia has come out with. Very interesting. Thank you, sister, for calling us and bringing that to our attention. We have been discussing a number of issues, and there was nothing in particular that I had wanted to talk about other than what we have been discussing. There was nothing special in the news this morning other than that very violent photograph of a spectacle of airplanes flying over Hawaii, Kaneohe Bay Air Show, that supposedly thrills with jaw-dropping stunts and display the armament of the U.S. military that exists here in Hawaii. And very sadly, they also showed children on their weapons firing or pretending to fire automatic weapons from mounted on war vehicles. And my question initially in this program, as I began the program, was asked that question: how can we talk about a more peaceful society when you have these kinds of stuff that are occurring? And don't people see the connection between bullying and violence in the society tied in with these kinds of advertisements, these kinds of activities going on in which children are being encouraged to fire these weapons or play with these weapons? Is there no, or can you make no connection between the two? And why do we promote it? Why does a newspaper promote it? And then later on come out with these editorials about too much violence in the society, starting with cyberbullying and bullying in schools and the rest. Is it the case that perhaps children learn from adults? Perhaps going to war because it is praised so often, children pick this up and then they develop the same sense of domination, of might makes right, and as long as you can get away with it, it's appropriate. How are we violating childhood by these kinds of messages, and yet coming back and giving them a different message, splitting their thought process, splitting their personality? On one hand, they're supposed to be kind and gentle and loving, and on the other hand, take what you can and use as much violence as is necessary in order to take. These are lessons that we should be teaching. A paper that has been circulating, and I invite you to join in the circulation by getting a copy of it, is our Envisioning a Future for Hawaii, in which we try to address those particular issues of developing a new vision for Hawaii that is far more peaceful than what we are seeing now being propagated in Hawaii. Not only in the area of a more peaceful society, we are also saying that we need to address the issue of self-determination of Native Hawaiians and Hawaiian nationals. On that particular point, what we say in the paper is, from its ancient tradition, the concept of pono has been fundamental in the belief system of the Hawaiian people. It is found in its national as well as its state's motto: Wa mau ke ea o ka aina I ka pono. Proper, just, appropriate, rightful, upright, and civil. Balance. These are some of the ways pono has been defined. The current governance of Hawaii by the United States of America and the state of Hawaii leaves a wide gap between the national and state motto that the life of the land is perpetuated in pono, or righteousness, and the history of the theft of the governance and the subsequent occupation and colonization of these islands. The chasm between the society's creed and the current government's deeds lays heavy on these islands. Hawaii cannot move honestly, confidently, or in pono into our future until this issue of the rights of the Native Hawaiians and the Hawaiian nationals have been resolved. This is their right to self-determination, their right to formulate for themselves as a true possessors of the original right of governance over Hawaii, which right was unlawfully wrested from their control. The question of pono rests so heavily upon these lands and peoples that there should be no more distractions or substitute priorities for Hawaiian self-determination. And as a result of this, candidates for public office should be asked, should be quizzed about the sort of structural changes they support that are designed to promote self-determination of Native Hawaiians and Hawaiian nationals. I think there's a suffering in the society of this psychological process called transference. This idea of transferring your fears, your hopes, your loves, whatever it is, you transfer it upon a loved one or an enemy. And when you are uncertain, you transfer the ideal of distrust upon someone who may be saying, we have a right to do this, and so you transfer upon them what you probably would do, or at least what you fear that they may do if they're given this power. So by this transference, you begin to judge others by what you would normally do, not realizing that you are not the other and not being willing to listen to the other. What all that means is the fear of people who do not see themselves as Hawaiian nationals or as Native Hawaiians. Fear that the Native Hawaiians or the Hawaiian nationals may act to you as you probably would act to others, and that is using the domination mentality, the exclusion mentality, the individualism mentality, that DIE process, and then send you back to America or to Japan or China or wherever you or your ancestors may have come from. And so that fear prevents you from being just. But I'm suggesting that in Hawaii, what you need to do, and I cannot say overcome that fear, because that is something very deep down inside that you still distrust based on whatever baggage you may carry. So all I can suggest is listen to the voices of those who are advocating Hawaiian independence, and select not just a few of the most radical, and we are not seeing very many of those anymore. But when we came out of that stage of mourning and anger and grieving, when we started and when people started becoming more aware of the right to self-determination, the illegality of the overthrow, that was in about the 70s, the 80s, and even into the 90s, you heard a lot of that voices rapping and calling out and filled with anger and with hatred and talking about, hey, you so-and-so, Jap or Haole or whatever it is, go back home, etc., etc. That kind of anger, the voices finally has calmed down because we were able to pass through that mourning stage and get more into the dreaming. So more currently you are listening to or you are hearing voices who are more considerate, more concerned about building a future, and a future not just for that selfish, exclusive self, but one that is inclusive, that the one that is talking about the development of our human society here in Hawaii, that is open and want to welcome in others. So I suggest that you be more participatory if you have been holding back, that you listen to these voices and join in at least the dreaming of what could become. And if after that you are unsatisfied, then you can take your decision and make your choice. But allowing other people to choose themselves and then take a look at what the society can become. We do have a caller online, and our telephone number is 524-1080 in the event you would like to call. Aloha, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Aloha.
I'm calling. I'm going to change the subject because I realize that you're a very strong advocate of human rights.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Yes, yes.
And a few weeks ago, you were mentioning as to why Obama didn't talk more about human rights at the Democratic Convention.
Yes.
And I was saying because that was more of a domestic thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the convention. So that convention was strictly like a pep rally or trying to get voters to vote. And the human rights that you're talking about, which is a very good issue and problem this world has, is international. And guess what? At the Clinton Global Initiative,
Yes.
just earlier this week.
That's where Mitt Romney also participated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
I heard some of it, yes.
Did you hear where President Obama?
I heard that he was there. I didn't hear his speech, though. My point was that at a Democratic Party convention, these are places where very fundamental issues are discussed or should be discussed, and it shouldn't be merely a cheerleading attempt. Although you're also nominating your presidential candidate, and that's true, and I understand that.
Yes, that's right. Primarily, the convention is really to nominate and to accept a nomination for the president and the VP.
I understand that. But for the Democratic Party, first of all, it was clear who would be nominated. There was no question about it.
Oh,
It's
yes.
going to be Barack Obama.
But they still go through the process. And so, good news where, I thought maybe you might have heard what President Obama said at Clinton's global initiative. He talked about human rights for the world. And it was very interesting. And I don't know of any other president who really has pushed human rights quite as much. I guess Clinton has done so, but do you know of any other presidents who,
I think in the earlier days, in the formation of the United Nations, when Roosevelt had been president, and then Truman, and then Eleanor Roosevelt was a real champion of human rights, and she was a chairwoman of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
And somehow, when it comes to human rights, really the Democrats are the ones that are really going ahead with it. But President Obama, I heard a portion of that where, just yesterday, I guess. No, was it yesterday or the day before? I heard I saw on television just a short portion of what Obama had said and what Romney had said.
Yeah.
And Obama said that he will still pursue human rights, and he strongly believes that children should not be, allowed to be humanly, to be trafficked.
Yeah.
They call it human
Yeah.
traffickers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he also was very strong about forced labor for young children.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he said, just plain human trafficking is a crime, and
No.
he will pursue it as a crime, and and because there were people from various nations, I guess he made this speech for them,
Yeah.
and for the world, to listen, and
Yeah, let me stop you there by saying that Obama can say and has said many beautiful things with regards to human rights. My problem is that it's fine to say it, but when you have this hypocrisy of he also insisting that Afghanistan detain people without even a trial, without even charging them, detaining them indefinitely, when he continues to operate Guantanamo, when he continues to operate these drone flights, what I'm saying is that with Obama, the problem is not how proud he can be about his stand on human rights, but the fact that he has failed miserably to stand up to what he claims to be his stand on human rights. He has not respected it as it regards other people.
well, one of the good things that he did was when he first became president was to say that waterboarding was torture.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he put a stop to it.
Yes, yeah, and he gets a point for that. And I'm not saying that he's worse than Romney. Romney and the Republicans are far worse in violating human rights. But that is no reason why we should not also be very critical for any violator,
I think it's
including...
because for this nation, domestically, the economy is so poor, it's so down yet, that he's concentrating more on jobs and the economy, and he didn't realize that his stimulus was not large enough. He realizes it now.
Yeah.
But at the time, he didn't know how badly George W. Bush
Had left the economy.
the nation.
No, I recognize all of that. It's the same thing that Abercrombie had been saying about lingo.
He didn't. Well, maybe well, I figured that at least he tried, and at least the economy is moving forward, where things are getting better.
I got no squawk about that. I got no squawk about that.
Yes.
Yeah. All I'm saying is that as a president of the United States, you are not only a politician, but you have to give moral leadership. At the Democratic Convention, the party that supports its president, it also have to give guidance to its president in terms of that moral leadership that the party needs to stand for, and not just play politics, but make a moral statement as to human rights. Also, it should have made a statement that when people commit crimes against humanity, they should be charged, they should be prosecuted, not only because they are foreigners like Osama bin Laden and the accusations against him, but when Americans commit crimes, irrespective of the high office they hold, they should be prosecuted. The Democratic Party should be coming out and essentially chastising the president for not prosecuting George Bush, Dick Cheney, Mr. Rumsfeld, and who was that the woman, Rice? And they should be very clear. These are the principles of the Democratic Party to stand up for.
Yes, but then, it was going to be very, very difficult to prosecute those guys because the Republicans were in charge of Congress.
And why would it be difficult to prosecute? Go after them. They committed crimes. Or at least address that issue. Italy has not hesitated to prosecute them and found them guilty. The CIAs who have been, rendering these foreigners, picking them off the streets and then send them to foreign countries and torturing them, and so Italy came out and found how many 16 CIA agents guilty of international crimes, prosecuted them, and that's the same thing that Obama should be doing, not being afraid and prosecuting.
Yeah, he probably should have done that.
Yeah.
But I think that because he was a black president and because there was so much hatred,
he would divide the country. But I think we
And
need to split
um,
between Obama and the Democratic Party. The party should have insisted that these matters be addressed. Obama, of course, he's on a campaign.
Yes, but the party was
cannot
in the
sit back.
minority, so they couldn't really.
But that's no excuse. At a national convention to discuss your platforms, where you stand, they should have taken a strong stand. This is our national platform. And let's now go out and see if the people will support it. And even if they don't support it, as Ben Cayetano said, what are you, a potted plant? Can't you think? You need to take the position
I think
and assert
that
yourself.
that because of people's hatred for him, because of his race and everything, and because whatever good he has done, they has turned it around and said it was bad. Because even previously, when the Republicans approved of certain things, he said, okay, I'm trying to compromise. And I think he was really more interested in compromising.
Well, I agree
but he
with
didn't realize the depths of the hatred that America, that some Americans had for him.
I'm in total agreement with you.
Americans, a lot of times, are blinded by this. And that's why even this bullying thing that you just talked about a few minutes ago, that is a huge issue because it gets right down to the core of the parents, the people of the United States. And their core means they won't stand for, whatever. It's just that they strongly believe in violence, and this is why this nation is becoming like that. So
I'm sorry for cutting you off. There's the engineer has started playing the music to tell me get off.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Thank you very much for your call.
Bye.
Call back again. Aloha. And to the others who are also waiting on the line, my apologies for keeping you waiting. I know it's important for you to have what you want to say said. Unfortunately, we just don't have the time. I got to run out of here, and I want to thank all of you for joining me this morning on Hawaiian Potpourri. We'll be back next week. Aloha Hawaii, ahui ho.
Kaulana nā pua o Hawaii, Kupa'a mahope o ka aina, Iki mai ka elele o ka loko ino, Pala pala a nunu me ka paka. Pane mai Hawaii moku o ke ave, Koku ana honoa o Pilani, Ka ko'o mai kaua I o mano, Pa'aku me ke oni o ka kuhi hewa. Aolea e kau I ka pulima, Maluna o ka pepa o ka enemi, Ho'ohui ai nā ku ai hewa, I ka pono sibila a o ke kanaka.